Hey, good morning, everyone, or good day, depending on your location. I wanted to welcome you to Tools, Tips, and Teamwork with Ted Liman, sponsored by Future Media TV. Ted, good morning. How are you doing today?
Morning, doing great. The OTC Offshore Technology Conference was last week, and it was a very busy week. We were working from the morning until late at night, but we survived that, and we got a lot of information out of it. So we're good.
And if you missed that episode is also replayed on Future Media TV, and you can actually watch that. Future Media Association. You can actually stream that. Marion, good morning. How are you, my dear?
I am fantastic this morning, and I can't wait to hear more about the OTC.
Yeah, we were talking about
it's huge here in Houston. I mean, everything shuts down that week because everybody's there, right? So tell us more about it.
Yeah.
Well, OTC is, although it's offshore, but a lot of onshore companies were also there. Offshore Technology Conference, and there are a lot of people are exhibiting their business, their latest technology, latest products and services, and at the same time, there are also people who are approaching these exhibitors, saying that, hey, how can we do business together? How can I buy your products? How can I be your distributor? Is there any business you're trying to do in the United States that we can help you with? Because a lot of them are also foreign companies. So you see, if you're talking about diversity, if you go to OTC, I mean, you're almost like you're traveling around the world in 3 days.
So tell us, what was the most interesting technology that you saw there that you haven't seen before? Is there anything that you can share with us that really you went, wow, this is pretty amazing? Is there anything that you can remember because that's what I go to expos for, is the cool technology or the new gadget that's going to disrupt the industry, right? Something along those lines.
Yeah. In oil and gas, it's not like technology, because in technology, you can kind of see the difference, from like flip phone to touch phone. Like you can see the apparent changes on it. But in oil and gas, what you see is the licensing, how the engineer now recovers the raw product and can sell more of the finished products out of the same source. And I would say, if you were to ask me from your point of view, what is the coolest that I saw? I would say the coolest that I saw is the metallic 3D printing. I think that was the coolest thing.
Oh man, would I like to have seen
metallic 3D printing. So they're printing metal objects.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
So you could actually do a mock-up in a hardware format.
Mm-hmm.
So talk a little bit about that. What is that?
Yeah. In engineering industry, like my industry, we don't do mock-up. We do actual 3D, like to the millimeter.
Yeah.
So you will have 3D. Everybody now, I mean, they would do it in 3D. Whether you are building a $1 million compressor or you're building $200 million plant, everybody is doing it on 3D.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you want to create a 3D of that heater, for example, or cooler or pump skid or whatever, all you have to do is send that 3D model to these companies, and they just print it out. Like literally, very easy. They just print it out.
How do you print something metal? I mean, I get it, the plastic. I can't wrap my brain around that one. Help me.
Yeah. Well, it's not. If you know the plastic printing, the metal printing actually is not very far fetched from that. So instead of plastic now is metal, and of course all the materials are more heat resistant, and they have argon gas to kind of help the process. And it's actually, you see, like that's why when you ask me, Russ, what's new? To me, there's a lot of things that's just not new, but they're presented in a different way. But the concept actually is quite the same as almost everything else. Yeah. But if you guys were there, I think you would stop in this one booth where it prints 3D model, but it's plastic. It's not metal. But in there, there's this guy actually. He printed like a foot with the bone and the muscles within it, and the skin is invisible plastic. So
wow,
that was really cool.
That's very cool.
I probably would have stayed right there at that.
I'm surprised, and I'm sure somebody was. Did you see any reporters? Because one of the things we've talked about for Future Media TV is going out and doing some what we call on the street reporting, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I don't know who was covering it or if anybody was covering it, and it would be nice to. I think we should go get credentials, Marion, and start covering some of these events, right?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
As soon as we get a little more funding, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a great segue into our topic today, Ted. Where they are.
Yeah.
So last week we talked about, knowing where we are. This week we want to know where they are. And if you didn't, if you didn't hear last week's episode, go back, Future Media Association and Future Media.
Ted was live at the OTC, the Offshore
Technology.
And here's what
Technology Conference.
Yeah, technology.
Right here in Houston.
And this is what's cool is we're using technology to share information that's relevant to the business, right?
Yeah.
And so you actually take this information and you share it again in your network, right?
That's right.
Okay. So give us a little bit of definition around the subject today, Ted.
Yeah. Sure. Well, last week we talked about knowing where you are, and we did it live in OTC. It was appropriate because really the entire subject is know where you are. Don't be in a bubble on your own and thinking that everybody is still using a flip phone and flip flop, and probably World War II is still going on. So we want to go out there. We want to learn what everybody is doing, the way people generate revenue, the way people do business. Since the beginning of time is always the latest and the greatest. So we did our show. You guys from the media world, you guys call it a show, but us from the engineering world, we call this kind of thing workshop. So, last week's workshop, we did it live at OTC, and it was great. It was giving the example exactly to make sure that we know where everybody is. A good example, just like earlier today, we talk about 3D model versus typical 2D AutoCAD drawing. Back in the days, it's always 2D, and you want to draw 3D, you actually draw it with your 2D software. And today, everybody is using 3D. So in other words, if you're still using 2D for your 3D things, then that's what we meant on last week's workshop. Know where you are. It means if you're not where the crowd is, go in there, jump on it, go find out the latest, greatest technology, policy, international way of doing business. In other words, do something that would put you in the right position for the success of your business. That was last week. Now, this week actually is knowing where they are. And what I meant by that, last week, you know where everybody was. You find out where they are. You find out that you are in the middle of the crowd. You find out that you are in the latest technology, the latest news, and basically doing what everybody else who are successful doing. So this week here is knowing where they are. Now, what I meant by that is this. Have you ever gone through a season in life where you hang out with a crowd of network organizations, profit or for-profit, non-profit or for-profit, and you don't feel like you're making any kind of productivity. You don't feel like you're getting productivity out of
no progress.
No progress at all, no productivity. And after like 3 months, you're like, a quarter of the year just went by and did not make a dime. Have you ever felt like you're in that position in the past?
Yes.
Yes.
I have. That's why I can actually talk about this workshop. So now, what I meant by that is, like last week at OTC, we were meeting with people, vendors, suppliers, mentors, coaches, with entrepreneurs. Do we really know who they are? And the most important question is, are they the people that become a part of our success? And what I meant by that is, you want to make sure that you spend your time very well. And, time is the only resource that we cannot recover, right? I mean, we lose money, we can find it again. We lose our key, we can go to a shop, get it cut. But we lose our time, that's it. There's no asking for it. Can't ask it, can't request it. That's it. You're just out of luck. And we need to sort out the kind of people and companies that are going to bring us closer to our goals. And we need to find out if they are a good supplier or client, potential client, or also network. We need to actually guard our time, because see, on last week's workshop, knowing where we are is a good deal. We bring ourselves into where everybody is, and then knowing who they are. Not everybody in that crowd actually is going to bring you closer to your goal. Now, I'm not saying that those are people, but I'm just saying that there might not be a good match to what you're trying to reach.
Right. One of the things that I always struggle with at times, and Marion, you could probably, kind of validate this, is we're doing tasks that we think are the priority, Ted. And from a business owner's perspective, sometimes we go down rabbit holes and we go down dead ends that we spend a lot of time with projects or people or events that may not be completely beneficial to us longer term.
Right.
How do you work through that process? How do you analyze and evaluate the value, how far to go with it, and when you need to change direction,
Right.
So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, it's a great point that you brought up. And at the same time, what's great about Future Media show/workshop to the viewers out there is that we have discussed a lot of tools and tips and teamworks in the past that actually can bring us into such situation. So what Russ is asking, like, how do we do that? How do we know if they're the right people or the right organizations? And what we did in the past, there's this one show we're talking about the BS in WBS.
Right. Work breakdown structure.
Exactly. So in the work breakdown structure, that's where you can kind of put your goal at the very top and kind of put down squares that would actually bring you to that one very top goal. And that's exactly what we need to do. So, for example, if on my part, if I'm trying to do a business, for example, in Thailand, then I would have to somewhat find connections who are doing business successfully in Thailand.
Okay.
And then from that point forth, I need to go down the list again. We need to find some similarities in the business that we do. So I'm in oil and gas processing industry. I don't want to find somebody who is actually selling matches in Thailand, right? I mean, we can be great friends, but eventually we cannot do business because he doesn't understand what I do. I don't understand what he does. And we can't actually propose on the same project. And I mean, we have to work out like from the goal. This is what we want to do. This is how we get to that point. And then on the level underneath it, same thing. This is what I need to do to get to that level on the top. So eventually, if we do those things in detail, eventually, like on the bottom, it will say, for example, attend OTC in May every year. You see, so having that those kind of structures actually help us to get to that point, knowing like, is this actually something that would help us reach our goal, or is it actually going to distract us from it?
Right, right. So, some people, some management, experts, if you want to call them that, they talk about define what your goal is in 4 quadrants. It's either revenue, development, research, or production, right? Some breakdown of your business. And
Right.
each quarter you focus on one goal for that quarter. If you need revenue, everything you do is designed to generate revenue. Are you making sales calls? Are you following up with clients? Are you doing this and this and this? And systematically following up with that primary goal in mind. And if you're doing an activity or a task during the day, and you have to ask, every time you start something, a task of any kind, you have to ask your question: is this meeting my primary goal? How does this contribute to my primary goal?
Yeah.
And absolutely. So is that kind of the direction you take with these other bigger decisions?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, being an entrepreneur, especially small business owners, sometimes you work solo and you don't have people around you to always tell you like, hey, let's not do that. That's not what we're trying to do. Like, for example, you and Marianne, I think you guys are like the greatest partners I've ever seen in the industrial world. I mean, you guys can tell each other. Yeah, I mean, you guys can.
I'm sure glad this was recorded, Marianne.
Yeah. Okay, to the viewers, you guys never met Marianne and Russ. They are amazing people. They work amazingly, and it's I mean, they are a client of Office in America, which is one of my companies, and I've seen them work right here day in, day out. Even when we have to close our office, they're still here. And you don't see those kind of partnership on everywhere around the corners of the world. So you guys work great, and I think that's exactly what sometimes small business owners need. They need a partner that can help balance and align each other to reach the goal.
Right.
Yeah.
Trying to do it alone takes a lot longer. You can do it, but it takes a lot longer and a lot more stress. And it, just like you said, time is the only resource we can't recover. Yeah. So if we can, sometimes we decide we're going to divide and conquer as a team. Mm-hmm. It's like, you go do this, I go do that. Sometimes we say, no, we're better off doing this together. Yeah. And so it works out really great. So I appreciate that. So let's get back to the people. I'm interested in understanding a little more deeply about how we decide who's the best resource for us. Because Russ and I are not alone, I'm sure. We have gone down the path thinking that this resource was really good for us. And we get almost to the end and it's like, oh no, this was bad. This was so bad. It took us time, money, effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Think about it this way. If we would make it easier for everybody, we can't think about it like you're dating somebody, right? You can't judge the person just by the look. I mean, the person might look attractive on the first look, wearing something nice, something expensive, driving a nice car, and you want to date that person before you say, let's get married, right?
Right.
You want to get to know that person. You want to find out who they are, how they eat, how they how they eat, how they carry themselves in the public, how they actually act in private. I mean, for gals, you want to know what kind of a masculine monster that you're actually trying to date. I mean, it is, and from there, so you have to try it. You have to try it out. Go out there, try it out, and find out if this is something that you are looking for. And if it goes well, go to the second, to the third, to fourth, keep on going. And the moment where that on the dating side, cycle, for example, this person is not going to bring me closer to my goal. This person have different point of view on politics, on raising children, on religious beliefs. yeah, and this person actually would rather buy ramen noodles instead of spaghetti. I mean, you you have to find out all those kind of details, and eventually, after you spend some time, you'll know that okay, this person here is somebody that I want to be with to reach my goal. Or if it doesn't work out, you still remain friends because the world is small. You'll run into each other again eventually, but that's how you sort it out. You sort it out by knowing who they are, and at the end of it, as any kind of dates, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work out.
Oh, we have a great comment here. Marry your strategy and date your tactics.
That's interesting. I love it.
Pretty cool.
That's from Walter. Thank you, Walter.
Yeah. Thanks for that comment, because it's interesting that I mean, life in general. Ultimately, we talk about social media, we talk about technology, we talk about everything. Ultimately, it still goes down to who do I feel like I want to have a relationship with in business, right?
Yeah.
What's this connection that I have? And are the people I'm working with going to contribute or detract from my success?
Right.
Because that's ultimately the end of the day is like, okay, is this vendor that I'm working with, are they a time suck? Or are they going to be a problem? Is it going to be a drain on my time, my effort, my business? Or is it going to contribute to the cause and the goal of lifting us up and taking us to the next level?
Right.
And we see that a lot in the marketing world, and I'm sure that you see it in the oil and gas industry and the technology and everything, all your businesses, right?
Yeah, and sometimes actually, I mean, I did not plan to talk about dating in this workshop right here, but it is actually, it works exactly just like that. I mean, you don't want somebody who is too young for you, right, Russ? I mean, you don't want them to be playing bumper cars, and well, you're like, I really just want to focus on social media today, and and you don't want somebody who is too old for you, that you have to what is it? Carry what is that called?
The oxygen tank.
Yeah, the oxygen tank as you're actually pushing the chair. And this is not kidding here. I have a friend, and I would say a friend. She is much older than me, but everybody that she dated is are men on chairs with a tank
in wheelchairs.
And I think two of the husbands have passed away, and right now she is on the third one. Is also on a chair. So I don't know what it is about her and a man in a chair.
She just finds chairs very very attractive, huh?
Right.
For some reason, whatever it is.
Oh man. So what do we want to conclude with this? I mean, I know it's important, and one of the things that we're doing here is 52 weeks in a year. You only have so much time. We have to decide the best use of our time, and how do we bring that back together?
Well, that's really true. So what we have discussed in the past, we're talking about. I think the name of the show was Accounting Rocks, and on that show we talk about if you want to know how to run business successfully, you need to know how much money you have to make every day. In other words, you need to know your cost. You need to know how much it costs for you to have a business in one day. And that actually would tell you that's how much minimum I need to make to actually bring the balance to zero. And above that is going to be your income. Now, in this show right here, knowing where they are we're talking about time in particular. And the time is the same thing. You need to know that there are 52 weeks in a year, right? And a lot of people are taking 2 weeks vacation. So we're running that down to 50 weeks, 50 work weeks per year. And if you don't make money in 2 weeks, that means that you have just lost 4% of your income. And if you have have not made money in 1 month, that means you have lost about 10% of your income.
Right.
Now, when people say, 10% is nothing. I mean, what's the meaning of 10%? I mean, who cares?
Wow. It could be a lot.
That's right. It depends. If you're actually shooting for 100,000 a year, 10%, that means you have just lost $10,000, right? And I mean, a lot of businesses that can actually have offices, have employees, at least they're actually expecting about 500,000 to $1 million. So if you lose 10% of that, it's quite hefty. It's 50,000 to 100,000. So what I encourage people to do is that actually, the time does not stop, the sun does not stop, and nobody in the world stops, especially if you're in Manhattan, the city never sleeps.
Right.
So you might want to tune your time into your goal. It's a very
Say that again. I want to make sure that everybody hears that and lets it sink in. So you want to have your time be your goal?
You want to know what kind of timing. You want to know the meaning of time in the relations of your goal. So, in other words, if your goal in a year is to make $1 million, then you need to know that if you miss the opportunity, like example, if you miss opportunity in 1 month, if you don't have any income in 1 month, that means you have lost 10%. Right. If you lose 10%, that means you lose 100,000 if your goal is $1 million a year.
Right.
Right. So if we actually put it in the perspective now, I believe you would actually get up in the morning hustling, thinking that, for example, this week here, I need to make at least $5,000. And in the next this week, I didn't make any money. That means in the following week, I need to make $10,000 to make up what I lost last week, and also
to stay on track, right?
Right, to stay on track. Now, a lot of people actually, they don't put this kind of perspective right aside on their goal. So right. Basically, it's their goal. I want to make $1 million. I want to make $1 million. But there is no deadline to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, set a goal, make a deadline. If you don't make it, it needs to go to the next deadline, the next goal, right? You need to add that in so that you're not wasting that time and not forgetting about it. That is a very good idea.
We'll break it down and figure out if I need to make X, I need to make Y every week or every day, right?
Yeah.
Ted, we have 1 minute left. I want to make sure this is clear for me because I'm really paying attention.
Okay.
Are you saying that we need a specific money goal every single week?
Absolutely. Okay.
Russ?
Yeah.
I don't care if you have to stay up till 3 a.m. every day. You have to.
Look what you did, Ted. Thanks, Ted. I have a goal.
This is where Russ said, I like this show right until this moment.
Love you, brother. Oh my gosh. So this is really great information though, Ted, and as a workshop and something that you can share over and over again. This information is evergreen. You can actually take this. I don't care if you're a baker or you're a dog sitter or you're industrialist in oil and gas. I mean, this information is solid regardless, right? And sharing this information over and over again is going to be incredibly valuable for a lot of people. So, you run a number of businesses. We put this in place for, at Future Media Association and Future Media TV. People can get a hold of you of Office in America. You're here every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Central Time. Any other places you want to share with anyone?
No, I think last thoughts is that I just want to tell you guys that Future Media tools, tips, and technology, they reveal a lot of things in this workshop that no other place would do. Even interview at Bloomberg TV or CNBC or Shark Tank. I mean, they only touch the surface. You want to be successful, you got to work hard. But they don't tell you the kind of topics and details that we do on a weekly basis. So hopefully it's useful to you guys, and hope that you can join us on a weekly basis.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And Marion, as always, it's a pleasure to hang out and have a great show. And, Future Media TV is here to share information and stories like Ted's. And we look forward to the next show, Ted. You enjoy your day.
Thank you. You too, Russ, Marion. Thank you very much. Have a great day, everybody.
You too. Bye.